Hi, my name is Alex Sitterer, and I'm presenting Forensicast, a non-intrusive approach and tool for logical forensic acquisition and analysis of the Google Chromecast TV with Nicholas Dubois. In this presentation, we go over what the Chromecast TV is, how we prepared, created, and analyzed the artifacts that we present in the paper, what data was contained in those artifacts. We present a tool we created to help us recover those artifacts. We discuss some other information we learned in the course of this research, and we describe the potential for research based on what we discovered. This material was based upon work supported by the Office of Naval Research. The Google Chromecast with Google TV is a standalone IoT media device for TVs. It can stream music, TV shows, movies, and play games, all self-contained without the need for a phone or other tablet. It has a remote and the Chromecast TV itself that is plugged into a TV, and it does require a Google account in order to function. In this paper, we present a new logical acquisition method for the Chromecast TV. We present our findings from 112 applications. We show a suggested investigative approach, the creation of the Forensicast tool, and we also share common artifacts via the Artifact Genome Project at the link in the slide. All of our artifacts are recovered from Android backup files. They're designed by app developers to hold information which can be backed up and recovered on other devices, and as such mainly contain user data and not application information which can just be re-downloaded from the Play Store. They often contain more information than necessary, and since users don't really back up their TV, Android TV doesn't really utilize these files. To capture these artifacts, first we prepared the device, then we had to create the artifacts by using the applications, then we extracted those artifacts, analyzed them, and then repeated the process as necessary. To prepare the Chromecast TV for capture, first we had to connect it to a TV via an HDMI cable or other HDMI cable monitor, and then we connected to a computer with Android Debug installed. This is accomplished using the included USB-C cable that you get in the box. We then activated developer mode and allowed USB debugging in the menu. To generate artifacts, we downloaded a series of 77 common applications and then used them. We also were able to recover artifacts from some system applications. A VR headset, the Oculus Quest 2, as well as a YouTube video from an iPhone were casted to the device as it is a Chromecast and retains the casting capabilities. To extract and analyze artifacts, first you'd have to download the desired application, then you back up the entire device with ADB and use the application to create some artifacts. Then you back up the entire device again and convert those backups to readable files. Now you can examine the differences between the files to determine what artifacts were stored upon using the application. Then you examine your collated files and look at the SQLite and XML files to see artifacts. In total, 112 applications were surveyed. 69%, 77 of 112 were third-party, and 31%, 35 over 112 were system. We found only 9 system applications that provided useful artifacts, and they're outlined in the table below. And the 6 main categories that artifacts fell into are illustrated on the right, and which were the time-based identifiers, logs/activity, tokens or cookies, device IDs, user IDs, other artifacts, or applications that could not be backed up. Some common artifacts were provided by one, Facebook Analytics, which is a user analytics platform by Facebook. This provided timestamps as it's a platform that allows you to generate ads and find out where your customers are using your application. We also found some artifacts from Firebase, which was a user analytics platform this time by Google. This provides tokens, timestamps, logs, potentially custom files based on its implementation. We also found artifacts from WebView, which is an Android component to invoke content within applications. For example, if you click on a Spotify link and it opens the app in Spotify, that likely uses WebView. This provided logs, cookies, potentially preference files, and other artifacts. Generally, WebView provided the richest artifacts for us to look at. When we casted, we found that the app that handles streaming, which is Android Media Shell, does hold some interesting information. It holds the user ID, the casting device, and sometimes the content based on what's being casted. These logs may persist after reboot, so you don't have to worry about unplugging the device to get it to your workstation. We also tested 3 third-party browsers. There were no official ones. Every browser tested utilized WebView to some extent, and they all had browsing history, cookies, and additional logs. We also found that for the browsers that included a clearing history option or an incognito mode, they only removed the front end. They did not remove the back-end logs or WebView, which meant they were still able to be easily collected by an investigator.
So we created a proposed investigator workflow for investigators in the field to follow if they were to do this manually. So the first thing they would have to do is connect a Chromecast to both a TV and a ADB device. Then they can enable developer mode on the Chromecast TV. From there, they can allow USB debugging and then connect it to the ADB device. From the ADB device, they can type ADB devices to see if the Chromecast is connected. And then they can use a few commands to list the installed applications, recover the desired application, and then pull the APK from the application. From there, they can look through the files, and any potentially useful files which have any artifacts can be used to create a timeline. So now we're going to look at the tool that we made to recover these automatically. So what this will do is try to compress most of those steps so they're automated and the user doesn't have to do much. Now we're going to take a look at a demo of using the Forensicast tool to recover some artifacts. So for the scenario, we have a suspect who's living in Connecticut and he's suspected to have murdered a man in London. The suspect stated that they never actually left Connecticut, but we're going to take a look at the artifacts on the device and see if they left or not. Now we're going to look at actually using our tool to recover some artifacts. So first thing we're going to do is start it up on connected to a device which has ADB installed. Now we're going to go into settings and enable developer mode. Now that we have developer mode enabled, we can go down and enable USB debugging. And with USB debugging enabled, it's now able to be seen by the device. As you can see, it says list of devices attached and it has our device. Now we can create a full timeline of the device and it will prompt us to take a backup. And we're just going to take a backup without encrypting it with any password. And this will take a while. So we're just going to wait for it to back up. And as the backup is finishing, we'll see a list of artifacts listed, and then we can use these and piece them together to see what the user was doing at a given time. So now for the content we got from the backup, we could see user emails, which we only used one for this device specifically, but if they use multiple emails for multiple applications, there is a chance that you are able to grab multiple emails. We can see through Web Invoke that they Google search how to hide a body, and then they clicked on a YouTube link titled how to hide a body at the time which we were able to recover. And then they were searching for food near London. And then in the notes application, it said, go to London and kill Jimmy. So some discussion points that we have is that generally Android TV devices don't have as much security built in as Android itself. This is mainly because people don't want to research too much about Android TV as it doesn't seem as big of a target, but it's still a pretty big target that needs to be researched. Not all of the applications allow backups. And if an app developer decided to simply not allow backups on a specific app, that means that we're no longer able to recover artifacts this way. And then a lot of the applications contain what user was doing something at a given time. Sometimes it has actual location stamps, and we can use that. And then most of the time we get a timestamp, so we're able to piece what they were doing, when, and why. And normally, to use a Google TV device, you need a Google account signed up. So we're always able to grab the user's email that they are currently signed into, which could always potentially be a useful artifact. Future work that we'd like to see if other people could work on and we might work on in the future ourselves is firstly decrypting some of these artifacts because we got these from backup files. A lot of these files stored things where they're seeable, but they're encrypted pretty strongly, and we'd like to see if people are able to decrypt these. We'd like to look at other manufacturer versions of Android TV, such as Samsung's Android TV, which actually has a password lock. Currently, there's no root method for the current version of Android TV. However, if one were found, that would make recovering these artifacts much easier. There is currently no hardware methods for this version of the Chromecast TV, so we'd like to see if people are able to chip off or recover through RAM or physically. And currently, there's no looking into the network traffic analysis on this specific Chromecast, but that could also potentially lead to useful artifacts. So some related works that we looked at is attackers were actually able to play videos on boxes which they did not own. Some of these Android TV devices could become a pivot point for attackers. If an attacker were able to get a shell, they might be able to pivot from there onto other devices on the network. And then when it comes to smart TV forensics, we looked at with other devices, people physically pulling artifacts through chip off. We looked at people sniffing network traffic for different artifacts, and then we've seen other Chromecast devices which are built into the TV, which can provide useful artifacts. And then we have seen people recover images from a Fire TV stick, and this is a full image, so they had a root on the system. And here's a list of our references.
And with that, we are at the end of the presentation. We thank you for your time.